Have you ever had one of those moments online? Maybe an old embarrassing photo pops up on Google, or like a comment you made years ago suddenly resurfaces and you're just like, oh, wow, that is not me
Well,
anymore.
definitely, that sinking feeling.
Exactly. And you just get this urge, right? To hit some giant, like, digital delete button on your entire online past. Well, you are absolutely not alone.
hmm
So today, we're diving deep into what people call your digital footprint, or sometimes your digital shadow. Basically, it's the sum total of all your online information.
Everything, yeah.
Everything from social media posts, shopping accounts you forgot you had, forum comments, even like the invisible data gathered by trackers you didn't even know were there.
Right.
And so many of us want to shrink that footprint, maybe to protect privacy or prevent identity theft, get away from all that invasive data collection, or maybe just find a bit more anonymity in a world that feels like it's always watching.
It's a totally understandable desire. Really is. But let's set expectations right at the start here.
Hmm.
Because this is, well, it's crucial. Completely deleting yourself from the internet. It's really, really hard. Maybe even practically impossible.
Wow, okay. So not quite hitting one big delete button then.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Think of it like trying to unring a bell. Once data gets online, it sticks around. It gets copied into caches, archives like the Wayback Machine, data brokers sweep it up. The internet really doesn't forget. That's not just a saying.
Mm,
It's kind of how the whole thing is built, actually.
that's a bit sobering.
It can be.
Yay.
However, and this is the important part, the encouraging part, it doesn't mean it's a lost cause. Not at all.
Okay, good.
While, yeah, full erasure might be a myth, you can definitely significantly reduce your digital footprint. It just takes deliberate steps,
Okay.
systematic ones.
Right. It's about taking back some control, minimizing exposure, not becoming totally invisible, maybe?
Exactly. That's the goal.
Okay, so if the goal is significant reduction, reclaiming control, where do we start? What's like the biggest impact first step you should take? Let's unpack this.
Well, when you think about where most of your personal data lives online,
Social media.
that's usually it.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media jumps right out. And that's exactly where we need to start. Deleting, or at least deactivating, your social media accounts is often the most impactful thing you can do first.
Right. And I think people kind of know this, but maybe not the full extent.
Exactly, because it goes way beyond just the photos you posted or your list of contacts. It gets kind of unsettling. These platforms can infer personality traits, health stuff, even your political leanings.
Just from likes and comments.
Yeah, from seemingly small interactions. And then these predictions, they get sold to advertisers.
Yeah.
And they're surprisingly accurate.
Mm.
So your profiles become these absolute, like, treasure troves of really personal data.
Wow. Okay. Treasure troves. That paints a picture.
It really does. And every big platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X now, LinkedIn,
Mm.
they all have their own ways to delete or deactivate.
And they're probably buried somewhere deep in the settings, right?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
You might have to dig a bit. Some are clearer than others, but the option is usually there. But, and this is really crucial, don't just stop at social media. You've got to broaden that scope. Think about every other account you've ever made.
Like shopping sites?
Yep. E-commerce sites, Amazon, eBay, old discussion forums you joined 10 years ago, gaming profiles, dating apps, even cloud storage like Dropbox.
Oh man, the list gets long fast.
It does. And here's the scary part. Each old, forgotten account isn't just sitting there harmlessly. It's a potential vulnerability.
How so?
Well, imagine a breach on some old gaming forum you forgot about. If you reuse that password anywhere important, like your bank.
Oh, right. Yikes.
Exactly. It's a silent digital liability. Most people don't even consider it.
Okay, that is sobering. I know I've signed up for stuff I totally forgot. So how do you even find all these ghost accounts?
There are a few ways. A really practical tip, just search your email inboxes.
Your own email.
Yeah, look for keywords like welcome or verify your account confirmation, maybe newsletter subscription. Most services send something when you sign up.
Like digital breadcrumbs.
Precisely. And also, check your saved passwords in your browser, or if you use a password manager. That often turns up accounts you'd completely forgotten.
Good tip.
And there are tools that can help too. We've seen services like Deceit.me.
Deceit.me?
Yeah, it connects to your email like Gmail or Outlook, and it tries to list accounts associated with that email address. It can really streamline finding them.
Oh, that's handy.
It is. But remember, it's mostly a discovery tool. It finds them, but you still have to go to each service and manually delete the account yourself.
Gotcha. Still saves a lot of digging, maybe. Now, you mentioned delete versus deactivate earlier. That seems important.
Hugely important. It's almost like a trap sometimes. Many platforms push the deactivate option.
What does that actually do?
Well, it usually just hides your profile, makes it invisible to others on the site, but your data, all of it, it typically stays right there on their servers.
So it's not gone?
Nope,
Um,
not gone. You need to look specifically for the option to fully, permanently delete your account and your data.
And what if a site just doesn't offer full deletion? I bet some don't.
That happens. Some older sites or certain types of platforms just don't have that function. In that case, your best bet is damage control. Minimize the data. Go into the profile. Remove as much personal info as you can, your name, location, bio, everything. Replace it with generic stuff, or even just random characters, maybe even fictitious info it lets you.
Okay.
And then lock it down with a really strong, unique, random password. That way, even if the account shell persists, there's hardly any real data tied to you left in it.
Smart, like leaving an empty shell behind.
Exactly. And what about accounts you actually need? Like LinkedIn for work or maybe Facebook for family far away. You can't always just delete everything.
True.
So for those, the strategy is to lock down your privacy settings really thoroughly.
What does that involve?
Switch your profile visibility to private or friends only. Go through and remove any public PII that's personally identifiable information.
Like phone number, birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Phone number, full birthday, home address, anything someone could use to identify you specifically. Get it off the public view.
Makes sense.
Then, do a cleanup of your past activity. Go back through old posts, photos, comments, delete or archive anything that seems overly revealing now or just doesn't reflect who you are anymore. It's about curating your digital past and securing what remains.
Okay, so you've done the hard work. You've deleted a bunch of old accounts. You've scrubbed your remaining profiles. You'd think that'd be it, right? Smooth sailing.
You would think so. But here's where it gets, well, interesting. And maybe a bit frustrating. Even after all that, your information might still show up in search results.
How? If the account is gone.
It often comes down to search engine caches. Google, Bing, others, they take snapshots of web pages as they crawl the internet. That's the cache.
So like a ghost copy.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
A digital ghost of the page as it once was. Even if the original profile or page is deleted, that cached version might hang around in search results for a while.
Okay, so what can you do about that?
Well, Google actually has tools for this. They offer a process where you can request the removal of certain PII, contact info, address, email, specifically from their search results if it's been exposed without your consent or if it's harmful.
How does that work? You just ask them.
You fill out a specific support form. You need to provide the URLs where the info appears in the search results, and sometimes the URL of the original source, even if it's gone. Google reviews it based on their policies.
Okay. But does that remove it from the original website too?
No. And that is crucial to understand. This process only removes the link and snippet from Google's search index. It does not delete the information from the actual website where it originated.
So it's still out there, just harder to find via Google.
Precisely. And you need to remember other search engines too, like Bing. They have their own separate removal request processes.
This sounds like a lot of chasing things down.
It can be. Now, if you happen to be in Europe, there's something called the right to be forgotten.
I have heard of that. GDPR, right?
Exactly. Article 17 of the GDPR. It gives EU residents a legal right to request that search engines, and sometimes the original websites, delete personal data, especially if it's outdated, irrelevant, or no longer serves a public interest.
Is there anything like that in the U.S.?
Not federally, not quite the same broad right. But California's law, the CCPA and now CPRA, gives Californians a right to delete personal info held by businesses, which can sometimes extend to search results under certain conditions. It's more limited than GDPR's right to be forgotten, though.
So these rights sound powerful, but do companies always comply? Can they refuse?
Oh, absolutely they can refuse, and they sometimes do.
Why?
They might need to keep the data for legal reasons, like financial transaction records for tax purposes, or they might argue it's needed for fraud prevention. Sometimes it's about freedom of expression or public interest, especially for news articles or public figures.
So it's not automatic.
Definitely not. But citing the specific law, like saying under GDPR Article 17 or pursuant to my CCPA rights, that definitely adds weight to your request. It shows you know your rights and often gets a more serious look than just a general plea.
Okay. What about stuff that's not on a big platform or a search engine, but maybe like an old blog mentioned you or a forum post someone else made?
Yeah, that's another layer. For content on smaller websites or blogs, your best bet is often just contact the website owner or administrator directly. Politely explain the situation and ask if they can remove the specific mention or post.
Do they have to?
Not always, legally speaking, especially in the US, unless it falls under specific categories like copyright infringement or defamation. But many web admins are reasonable people and might comply if it's outdated personal info. It's worth asking.
And what if it's something really bad, like someone posting your private info maliciously? Doxing.
All right, doxing, that's a serious issue. In those cases, you should absolutely report the specific web pages to Google using the removal tools. They have policies against publishing non-consensual explicit imagery or PII intended to harm, and they might remove those results even if the website owner doesn't take the content down.
So it sounds like clearing search results is really a two-step process. You try to get the original source removed, if possible,
Right.
and then you also tackle the search engines to de-index anything that's left or cached copies.
Exactly. It's about making the data much harder for the average person to stumble upon. It's that 1-2 punch. Remove the source, remove the index.
Okay, now let's shift gears to something that feels kind of invisible, but maybe really pervasive: data brokers and those people search sites.
Ah, yes, the unseen collectors.
Yeah, like White Pages, Spokeo, Been Verified. I sometimes see those pop up when I Google someone. What exactly are they doing?
They are companies whose entire business model is built on aggregating personal data. They scrape it from public records, court filings, property records, voting lists, but also from commercial sources like warranty cards, surveys, website tracking, social media, basically anywhere they can find it,
Then they just compile it all.
into incredibly detailed profiles. It's often way more than just your name and address. It can include your age, past addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, sometimes relatives, property value estimates.
Yeah.
It can be disturbingly comprehensive.
Wow. And that's just available.
Often, yes. Some require subscriptions for full details, but a lot of basic info is visible just from a quick search on their sites, or it surfaces directly in Google results.
So getting your info off those sites seems like a big privacy win.
It's huge. Removing your profile from data brokers significantly cuts down on what strangers, potential employers, nosy neighbors, or even identity thieves can easily find out about you online with just a few clicks. It provides a much greater sense of personal security.
Okay, so how do you do it? How do you opt out?
Well, here's the challenge. There isn't just one or two of these sites. There are dozens, maybe hundreds of them.
Hundreds.
It's
Seriously.
a big industry. And each one typically has its own unique, often buried opt-out procedure. You might have to fill out a form, send an email, sometimes even mail a physical letter with ID verification.
That sounds incredibly tedious.
It is. It's incredibly time-consuming and requires a ton of persistence. There are resources online like the Privacy Rights Clearinghouse or articles from tech journalists at places like Motherboard that try to list brokers and their opt-out links, but doing it manually is a massive undertaking.
Yeah, that sounds like a full-time job just managing that. Is there an easier way? Like, can you pay someone?
Thankfully, yes. This is where paid privacy services come in. There's a whole category of them now.
Like who?
You've probably heard of some names like DeleteMe, Incogni, Canary, Optory, Removally, maybe PrivacyBee. There are quite a few options.
And what do they actually do?
Their core function is to handle those opt-out requests for you. They maintain lists of data brokers, often hundreds of them, and they systematically send out removal requests on your behalf using the correct procedures for each site.
Oh, okay. That sounds way better.
It saves an enormous amount of time and hassle. And crucially, many of them also offer ongoing monitoring
Why is that important?
because data brokers are constantly recollecting data. Just because you get removed from a site today doesn't mean your info won't reappear there in 6 months when they scrape new sources,
Ugh, it never ends.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So these services keep scanning and resubmitting removal requests if your data pops back up. For example, DeleteMe says they handle over 750 broker lists, often using actual human agents. Incogni, which is from Surfshark, contacts dozens across multiple countries and even escalates if brokers don't comply.
Any standouts?
Well, different reviews highlight different strengths. Security.org did a comparison recently. They noted Incogni was often fast, DeleteMe was very thorough, and Canary claimed the widest reach, scanning over 1,000 sites. Depends on your priorities.
Okay, but these are subscription services, right? They cost money.
Yes, typically they're annual or monthly subscriptions.
So what's the best strategy? Do you need to subscribe forever? Or maybe just do it for a year to get a big initial cleanup?
That's a really good question, and it depends on your budget and how much ongoing effort you want to put in. An initial year with a service can definitely make a massive dent and remove a lot of exposed data.
And after that?
You could try to maintain it manually, maybe focusing on the biggest brokers,
Yeah.
but it requires that constant vigilance we talked about. Alternatively, you keep the subscription for continuous protection. Some services, like Canary and Optry, actually offer a free initial scan.
Oh.
Yeah, they'll scan and show you where your data is appearing before you pay. That can be a great way to see how big the problem is for you personally and decide if a paid service feels worth it.
That makes sense. Do these services have any special powers? Like, do the laws help them?
They do leverage the laws, absolutely. In California, for instance, the CCPAC PRA requires data brokers to register with the state and honor consumer opt-out and deletion requests.
Ah, okay.
And in Europe, GDPR gives individuals strong rights to demand erasure from data brokers. Services like Incogni are specifically built to make these legal requests systematically on your behalf, which gives them more clout than an individual just sending an email. They know the procedures and the legal requirements.
Okay, moving beyond the big stuff like social media and data brokers, where else might our data be lurking? What about like old websites we made or forums?
Yeah, those digital nooks and crannies. That's a really important area people often forget. Did you ever register a domain name? Start a personal blog years ago on WordPress.com or Blogger?
Maybe, probably.
If you have old abandoned sites still floating around, they can contain personal info. If you can still access them, it's best to either take them down completely or at least delete the content.
What about the domain registration itself? Doesn't that sometimes list your name and address?
It can, yeah. That's the WHOIS record. Most domain registrars now offer WHOIS privacy protection, sometimes for free, or a small fee, which masks your personal contact details in that public record. Definitely worth enabling if you still own domains.
Okay, good point. Now, forums. Oh boy. I shudder to think about some forums I might have joined back in the day with some truly terrible username.
You are definitely not alone there. We all have those digital skeletons.
So what do you do about those old forum posts, assuming the forum even still exists?
First step is to try and find them. Search for your name, variations of it, and any old usernames you can remember. If you find posts that reveal personal details, see if you can still log in.
If I can.
Best option is to edit the post, to remove the PII. If you can't delete the post entirely, sometimes you can edit it down to something completely innocuous, like just a single period or generic text. Then, if possible, delete the account associated with those posts.
What if I can't edit it or can't log in?
Then you could try politely contacting the forum moderators or administrators. Explain it's old personal info you'd like removed. They might help, they might not, but it's worth asking. Same as someone else posted info about you, you can ask them, or the mods to remove it.
Okay. What about stuff you wrote for other people's sites, like a guest blog post years ago, or if your name was in a news article?
That gets much trickier because you don't control the content directly.
Right.
For guest posts, you can always contact the current blog owner and ask. They might remove it or update it, especially if it's very old. News articles, though, those are very rarely removed by legitimate news organizations due to journalistic integrity and archival purposes.
So you're kind of stuck with those.
Mostly, yes. Although, again, if you're in the EU, you might have some success using the right to be forgotten to get Google to de-index the article from search results, if it's truly outdated and no longer relevant, even if the article itself stays online. But generally, for third-party content, your control is limited. The focus really has to be on what you posted or directly control.
Let's talk email. Old email accounts. They seem so fundamental, right? Often there are user ID for everything else.
Exactly. They are critical. They're often the key to accessing dozens, maybe hundreds, of other online accounts. If an old, unused email account gets compromised.
It's like giving someone the master key.
Precisely. It becomes a massive security risk, potentially allowing access to reset passwords for all sorts of linked services. It's like leaving your digital front door wide open and unlocked.
So getting rid of old, unused ones seems important.
Very. But timing matters here.
How so?
It's actually better to delete your old email accounts last. After you've gone through and deleted all those other online accounts, the social media, the forums, the shopping sites.
Wait.
Because you'll probably need that email address to receive verification codes or confirmation links when you're shutting down those other services. Deleting the email too soon could lock you out of the deletion process for other accounts.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. Delete the dependencies first, then the email itself.
Exactly. Once you're sure an email address isn't needed for any active account verification or recovery, then you can proceed with deleting the email account itself.
And how does that usually work? Is it straightforward?
Most major providers, Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, have a defined process, usually in the account settings. Be aware, some have waiting periods. Yahoo, for instance, often keeps the account in a pending state for like 180 days before it's truly gone, giving you a window to change your mind.
Okay. Anything tricky, especially with, say, Google, since Gmail is tied to so much else?
Yes, this is a really important distinction. Deleting your Gmail address does not automatically delete your entire Google account by default.
Oh, really?
Yes, your Google account includes YouTube, Drive, Photos, Calendar, everything. You have to specifically choose the option to delete your entire Google account and all its associated data if you want full removal from Google's ecosystem. Just deleting the Gmail address leaves the rest intact.
Wow. Okay, that's a critical difference. Need to be careful there. And backup data first, obviously.
Absolutely. Before deleting any major account like Google or Microsoft, back up everything you need, emails, photos, documents. Once it's gone, it's usually gone for good.
And this applies elsewhere too, right? Like cloud storage.
Definitely. Apply the same thinking to services like Dropbox, Box, iCloud, old photo sharing sites like Flickr if you use them, online document services, anywhere you've stored personal files or data.
Download first, then delete.
Download what you need to keep. Then meticulously delete the content from the service, and finally close or delete the account itself. The overall goal, consistently, is to reduce the number of places your data lives online. Minimize those potential points of failure or exposure.
You know, listening to all this, it really sounds like a massive project. Cleaning up your digital footprint manually seems like it could take weeks or months. It feels kind of overwhelming.
It absolutely can feel that way. It's definitely not a quick weekend task for most people. It's a significant undertaking.
So, are there ways to make it less daunting? Tools to help?
Yes, absolutely. We've touched on some already, but it's worth recapping the types of tools and services that can either automate parts of this or at least make it much, much easier.
Okay, great. What are the main categories?
Well, first, for just figuring out how to delete specific accounts, you have what I'd call account deletion directories.
Like,
Like Just Delete Me or Account Killer. Just Delete Me is fantastic. It's basically a big list, a free directory, with direct links to the account deletion pages for hundreds of online services. It even rates them by difficulty: easy, medium, hard, or impossible.
oh, that's super helpful. Saves hunting through menus.
Exactly. It's like a roadmap for escaping services you no longer use.
Okay, what else?
Then for that huge task of dealing with data brokers, you have the dedicated data broker removal services.
Right, the ones like Delete Me, Incogni, Canary.
Precisely. Delete Me, Incogni, Canary, Optree, those types. As we discussed, they specialize in sending out those opt-out requests to hundreds of brokers and, crucially, provide ongoing monitoring so your data doesn't just reappear later.
That seems like where you get a lot of value, saving all that manual effort.
It's probably the biggest time saver category, yes. Manually tackling data brokers is a continuous, exhausting job otherwise. These services automate that persistence.
Okay. Any other types of helpers?
Yeah, there are also tools you might call personal data assistants. Things like Mine or Jumbo.
What do they do?
Mine, for example, tries to figure out which companies likely have your data by scanning your email inbox for sign-up confirmations and things like that. Then it helps you generate and send right-to-erasure requests under laws like GDPR or CCPA.
Scanning email. Privacy implications there.
That's the trade-off, yes. You have to be comfortable granting it access to your inbox for it to work effectively. Jumbo is more focused on cleaning up existing social media posts, tightening privacy settings automatically, and monitoring for data breaches.
So more about managing what's already out there.
Right. And finally, don't forget basic browser extensions and privacy tools. These are more about prevention, stopping new data collection.
Like ad blockers.
Exactly. Ad and tracker blockers like uBlock Origin or Privacy Badger. Using a VPN to mask your IP address. And consciously choosing privacy-focused alternatives for your daily tools. Think Signal instead of SMS, DuckDuckGo instead of Google Search, Proton Mail instead of Gmail.
So these don't delete old data, but they stop the bleeding, so to speak.
Well put, yeah. They minimize the new data trails you're constantly creating. It's all part of a layered approach.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. Deleting accounts, tackling search results, data brokers, using tools. But zooming out, what's the big takeaway here? Why is complete digital deletion just so incredibly hard, maybe impossible?
It really comes down to the fundamental nature of how information spreads online. One huge factor is just data copying and caching.
The ghosts again.
The ghosts. Search engines cache pages, as we said. But also, think about the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine. It actively archives huge swaths of the public web. So even if a site goes down or you delete something, an archive copy might still exist there, accessible to anyone.
Can you ask the archive to remove stuff?
You can request it, but it's entirely at their discretion,
Hmm.
and their mission is preservation. Generally, once information has been made public online, you lose a significant amount of control over where it gets copied and stored. The ripple effect is real.
Okay. What else makes it so tough?
We mentioned this with the removal services, but data brokers are constantly recollecting data. It's not a one-and-done cleanup. They're always scraping, buying lists, finding new sources. Your info can reappear even after you've opted out. It requires ongoing effort, which is why those continuous services exist.
Right, the never-ending battle.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Then there are legal and policy exceptions. Even with strong laws like GDPR, companies often have legal obligations to retain certain data. Financial institutions need transaction records for years. Companies need tax records. Employers need employee data. Public records like court filings or property deeds are also generally considered public information and are very difficult, if not impossible, to remove.
So the law can sometimes prevent deletion too.
In certain contexts, yes. And then there's the whole issue of third-party content. You can delete your posts, your photos, but you can't easily control what other people post about you.
Friends tagging you, news articles.
Exactly. Or even just someone saving a photo you posted and then re-uploading it somewhere else after you deleted the original. Once it's out, copies can proliferate beyond your control. And don't forget old accounts and orphaned data. What about platforms that shut down entirely? You can't log in, you can't delete anything. That data might still exist on some server somewhere or in backups, completely inaccessible to you. It's digital limbo.
The true internet never forgets scenario.
That's where it really hits home. And finally, the simple fact is, you're still generating data. Every time you go online, search for something, buy something, interact with an app, you're creating new data points. Total disappearance would mean completely disconnecting, which just isn't realistic for most people today.
So the strategy has to be minimization and control, not absolute erasure.
Exactly. You have to expect diminishing returns. Focus on significantly reducing your accessible footprint, not achieving some mythical state of digital nullity.
Okay. So let's say someone listening has gone through all this effort. They've done the cleanup, they've used the tools, they've reduced their footprint significantly. What happens next? How do you stay deleted or at least stay minimized? How do you build habits to prevent it all from just growing back rapidly?
That's the crucial next phase, ongoing digital hygiene. It's about building habits.
Like what?
First and foremost, just be mindful of what you share. Constantly ask yourself, does this really need to be posted publicly? Avoid putting sensitive PII, full name, address, phone, exact birthday on public forums or social media profiles unless absolutely necessary. Practice like overshare avoidance.
Think before you post. Simple but effective.
Very. Secondly, consider using pseudonyms and separate identities where appropriate. For online communities, forums, even some social media, maybe you don't use your real name. Have a secondary email address just for signing up for newsletters or non-critical services.
Like compartmentalizing your digital life.
Exactly. Some people even use slightly altered or alternate data for non-essential signups, though you need to be careful with that and track it, maybe using notes in a password manager.
Okay. What else?
Practice digital minimalism. Be intentional about the online services you use. Do you really need an account for that store you bought from once? Use guest checkout whenever possible. Do an audit sometimes if you haven't used an account in a year. Maybe it's time to delete it. Fewer accounts means less risk surface.
Be deliberate about signing up.
Precisely. Also, make it a regular habit to strengthen privacy settings and use encryption. Don't just set it and forget it. Check your account settings on major platforms periodically. Opt out of data sharing options. Decline facial recognition tagging. Use end-to-end encrypted messaging apps like Signal. Consider secure email like Proton Mail.
Proactive defense.
Yes. And regularly monitor your own digital footprint. Set up a Google alert for your name and maybe common variations. Search for yourself occasionally. Use services like Have a Bin Pound to see if your email or phone number has shown up in data breaches that can alert you to compromised accounts you need to secure or delete.
Stay vigilant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And leverage your legal rights when you have them. If you're in Europe or California or another region with privacy laws, understand your rights to access, delete, or opt out of data sales. Use those "do not sell my personal information" links you often see on websites now. They can actually work to remove you from marketing lists.
Use the tools the law provides.
Definitely. And finally, just stay vigilant about new data collection practices. When you sign up for a new app or service, pay attention to the permissions it asks for. Does it really need your location or contacts? Keep using those privacy tools, tracker blockers, maybe a VPN sometime. It's about making privacy an ongoing conscious effort.
It really sounds like a continuous process, not just a one-time cleanup. Now, thinking about those legal rights you mentioned, it sounds like where you live makes a big difference in how much power you actually have to delete things.
Oh, hugely. The legal landscape varies dramatically across the globe.
So how does it break down? Where are the strong spots and the weak spots?
Well, Europe under GDPR is generally considered the strongest framework right now. That right to be forgotten, Article 17, is quite powerful. It gives individuals a solid legal basis to request data erasure from companies, including search engines. And the company must comply unless they have a specific, compelling legal reason not to.
And that applies even if the company isn't based in Europe.
Yes, if they offer goods or services to people in the EU, they generally fall under GDPR's scope regarding those individuals' data. It has significant extraterritorial reach.
Okay, so Europe is strong. What about the US?
The United States is much more of a patchwork. There's no single comprehensive federal privacy law granting a general right to deletion like GDPR. It's more sector-specific or state-specific.
But California's a big one, right?
Yes, California's CCTA, now strengthened by the CPRA, is the most significant state law. It gives Californians robust rights, including the right to request businesses delete their personal information, subject to several exceptions. California also had an earlier law, the Online Erasure Law, specifically allowing minors to remove content they posted. Other states like Virginia, Colorado, Connecticut, Utah are enacting their own laws, often inspired by CCPA or GDPR, but they all have slightly different nuances.
So it depends which state you're in, potentially.
Very much so in the U.S.
What about other parts of the world?
It varies. Canada has its law, MIPIDA, and they've been debating reforms that might include stronger deletion rights, sometimes called a right to erasure. Brazil's LGPD is actually quite similar to GDPR and includes data deletion rights. Australia has rights to access and correct data, but not as strong a general deletion right. Places like India and China have been strengthening their data protection laws recently too, some including forms of data deletion rights. The global trend is definitely towards granting individuals more control, but the implementation and enforcement vary widely.
So the main takeaway for you listening seems to be know your local laws. If you're in a place like the EU or California with strong rights, definitely leverage them.
Absolutely. Cite the specific law in your requests. It carries more weight.
And if you're somewhere with weaker laws,
Then you're relying more on the company's own privacy policies, their goodwill, or perhaps public pressure. But even then, persistence can pay off. Platforms are becoming more sensitive to privacy demands globally, partly due to the influence of laws like GDPR, so it's always worth asking politely but firmly. Every step you take matters.
okay, so wrapping this all up, it sounds like erasing your digital footprint, or at least significantly shrinking it, is definitely a journey, not a destination, maybe.
That's a great way to put it. It requires persistence, definitely, and a multi-pronged approach. You can't just delete Facebook and call it a day. You have to think about accounts, brokers, search results, old data, new habits. It touches every corner of your online life.
And while that 100% total disappearance might be a myth, or just practically impossible for most of us,
Right?
you really can greatly reduce how much of your personal information is just floating out there, easily accessible online. You can take back a meaningful amount of control.
Absolutely. That's the achievable and worthwhile goal. Remove what you can, especially the riskier, outdated stuff. Guard against giving away unnecessary data moving forward. And just keep practicing those good digital hygiene habits we talked about.
It really comes down to continuous effort.
It does. Which kind of raises an important final question, doesn't it, for everyone listening? What's one small step, just one thing you'll do today after hearing all this to start protecting your digital privacy a little bit better?
That's a good question to end on.
Because whatever effort you make now, even if it feels small, your future self will probably thank you for it.